So, you've probably seen games like Megabunk and Muck where you can increase the number of times you can jump and basically fly by continuously jumping in the air, kinda like the airwalk ability from One Piece. So I thought, what if I made a game but the only thing that the player can do is jump? The player defeats enemies by jumping on their head, and the enemies drop XP crystals when they die, so you can collect these crystals and level up and increase stuff like your jump height, the number of times you can jump, your move speed, and stuff like that. Also, the game will happen on islands, and if you level up enough times, you can access new islands that have bigger and stronger enemies with new abilities that make it harder to jump on their head. I mean, how hard can it be to make a game like that? Sorry, I just had to. Every great game begins with a great bean. Then we add physics. And add a player script. And now we can move and jump around and it works perfectly. Oh, come on! After finishing the character controller, I decided to make a simple island to test out the game. And to do that, whether I like it or not, I had to use Unity's terrain tool. And if you don't know already, I'm not in good terms with it, so hopefully this time everything will go fine. So I started with shaping the island, and I painted some sand and grass textures on it, made a few mountains, added rivers, trees, details like flowers, stones. Then I added some cool landmarks like a village, some training camps, a cool boss fight area, and stuff like that. And after finishing all that, this is how it looks. I mean, it's not perfect, but it should do for now. After finishing the environment, it was finally time to program the enemies. There were many ways that I could do that. The first thing that came to my mind was using normals. A normal is a directional vector that is perpendicular to the object's surface. And yes, I read that from Google. So, for example, when the player hits the enemy at this point, the normal of the contact point would be something like this. Then I could check the vertical value of that vector, and if it was higher than 0, it would mean that the player hit the enemy from the above. But it was just way too inconsistent. Sometimes you'd get launched 500 meters into air, and other times it wouldn't even detect the collision. So instead I use a trigger and a height check, and it works perfectly. Now you can jump on the enemy's head to defeat them, and when you do, you get launched into air by an amount, and you can increase that amount by leveling up. After finishing the damage logic, I wrote a simple enemy AI script with patrolling, chasing, and attacking states. Then I imported an actual enemy asset from Unity's asset store, and after connecting all the scripts and animations, this is how it turned out. The enemies patrol around in an area, and if the player gets close enough, they start chasing them. And if the enemy has an attack and the player is in their attack range, they attack. Incredible game design, I know. And if the player gets far enough, they stop chasing the player and go back to their initial location. Also, if the player hits the enemies anywhere but their heads, the player gets knocked back and take damage. After finishing the enemies, I added these XP crystals that drop when the enemies die, and you can collect them and level up your stuff. At this point, the game was finally starting to take some shape, but I felt like it was missing something, so I decided to add a dash ability. Now you can dash at whichever direction you want, and when you're dashing, you enter an immune state, so while dashing, it doesn't matter where you hit the enemy, they would still take damage. Also, you can upgrade stuff like your dash speed, the number of times you can dash, your dash cooldown, and stuff like that when you level up. Game of the year right here. The addition of the dash made the game a lot better, but it still was feeling a little bit bland, so I decided to add some camera effects to it. I added a breathing effect, head bob when walking and running, some FOV changes and effects when dashing, and camera shake when you hit the enemies or they hit you. Addition of all these stuff made the game feel a lot more alive, and after fixing some bugs here and there, this is what the final product looks like. Now that I take a good look at it, I don't know what I was thinking when I started this project. And that's pretty much everything I have done so far. Let me know your thoughts about this game and if I should continue working on it or does it belong in my scrapyard of unfinished games. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and stay tuned for more updates.